There is a room in every person's life that they never went back to clean. Not a real room. A moment, a conversation you should have had, a person you should have called, a version of yourself you walked away from 30 years ago and never checked on again. If you are over 50, you already know the room I am talking about. You have walked past its door 1,000 times. You have told yourself, not today. And today has turned into decades. I am not here to make you feel guilty about that room. I am here to tell you something most people never hear in time. The door is not locked. It was never locked. You only believed it was. By the end of this video, you will understand why the mind builds these locked doors, why the body carries regret as weight in the chest and shoulders, and more importantly, you will have a clear, practical way to walk back into that room and finally set it right. Not to change the past. No one can do that. But to change what the past is allowed to cost you for the rest of your life. Stay with me. This is going to take some time because peace is not fast. But it is simple. There is an old teaching passed between generations of people who sat with the dying that says, no one on their final days regrets the risks they took. They regret the doors they never opened. Think about your own life for a moment. Not in general, specifically. Is there a face that appears when you close your eyes at night? A name you have not said out loud in years, but that still lives somewhere behind your ribs? Most people over 50 are carrying at least one of these. A father they stopped speaking to before he died. A friendship that ended over something so small, neither person can now remember what started it. A dream they buried at 25 because someone told them to be realistic. A marriage they left or one they stayed in too long. We give this weight many names. We call it the past. We call it water under the bridge. We call it no use dwelling on it. But none of these names make the weight lighter. They just make it quieter. And quiet weight is still weight. It still bends the shoulders. It still shortens the breath. It still shows up uninvited at 3 in the morning. Here is the first truth I want you to sit with. Asterisk, regret is not a punishment. It is a compass that has been left pointing in the wrong direction for too long. The pain you feel about that unfinished room is not proof that you are broken. It is proof that you still care. A person with no regrets is not a person at peace. They are a person who has stopped paying attention to their own life. Your regret means the door still matters to you. And anything that still matters to you can still be worked with. Let me tell you about a man. We will call him Walter. He is not one person. He is a shape I have drawn from many lives so that you can see your own reflection in him without anyone's real story being told for them. Walter spent 40 years as an accountant in a mid-sized town. He was good at his job, careful with numbers, respected by his co-workers, and almost invisible to his own family. Not because he didn't love them, because he never learned how to say so out loud. His father hadn't said it either. Some silences are inherited like old furniture. Nobody chose them, but everyone sits on them anyway. Walter had one brother, younger by 4 years, named Samuel. When they were boys, they built a treehouse together in the backyard of their childhood home. It stayed standing for almost 15 years, long after both of them had grown and moved away. At 32, Walter and Samuel had an argument. It was about their mother's care, who would visit more, who would pay for what, who really loved her more, spoken in the exhausted, grief-heavy language people use when someone they love is dying and they don't know where else to put the fear. Words were said, doors were closed, years passed. Walter told himself he would reach out when things calm down. Things never calm down because he never made them calm down. He got married. He had 2 children of his own. He built a life that looked, from the outside, complete. But every Thanksgiving, there was an empty chair that used to be filled by a brother who lived only 40 minutes away. By the time Walter turned 68, Samuel had been gone from his life for 36 years. Not dead, just gone. A stranger with the same last name. One winter, Walter's daughter was cleaning out the attic and found an old photograph. Two boys standing in front of a half-built treehouse, arms slung over each other's shoulders, missing teeth, sawdust in their hair. She asked, "Dad, who is this?" Walter looked at that photograph for a long time before he answered. Here is what I want you to notice about Walter's story, because it is the same moment that shows up in almost every regret, no matter the details. The distance between Walter and Samuel was never really about the argument. The argument was 36 years old. Nobody could even fully remember the details anymore. The distance survived because of something much quieter and much more dangerous than anger. Asterisk, the belief that too much time had passed to fix it. This belief is one of the oldest tricks the mind plays on us. It tells us that time is a wall instead of a bridge, that the longer we wait, the more impossible reconciliation becomes. But notice, this belief is never based on anything the other person actually said. It is a story we tell ourselves in their silence. And silence, more often than we admit, is not rejection. It is often just the same fear, mirrored back. Walter did not know that Samuel had also kept that photograph, his copy of it, in his own wallet for 20 years. He did not know that Samuel had picked up the phone to call him at least a dozen times and put it back down, afraid of being turned away. Two brothers, 36 years. Both waiting for the other to open a door that neither one believed was still unlocked. This is the quiet tragedy of most human regret. It is rarely a war. It is usually two tired people, each one convinced the other has already moved on, each one protecting themselves from a rejection that was never coming. I want you to ask yourself honestly, how much of your own unfinished business is built on a war that actually ended long ago? And how much of it is just two people, or one person and a memory, still standing on opposite sides of a door that isn't locked? Let's go deeper, because understanding why we wait is what will finally let you stop waiting. There are 3 quiet reasons people avoid the unfinished room, and I want to name each one clearly, because a fear that has been named loses much of its grip. The first reason is pride. Not loud, obvious pride, the quiet kind, the fear of being the one who gives in first. Somewhere along the way we were taught that reaching out first means admitting we were more wrong. But reconciliation was never a courtroom. Nobody has to be declared guilty for peace to be possible. Reaching out first is not weakness. In every tradition of wisdom, from monks in mountain monasteries to elders in small villages, the one who reaches out first has always been considered the stronger one, not the lesser one. The second reason is fear of rejection. Asterisk. This is the heaviest one. We tell ourselves, if I reach out and they turn me away, I will finally lose the last piece of hope I've been holding on to. So we protect the hope by never testing it. But hope that is never tested is not really hope. It is just a story we tell ourselves to avoid a harder truth. And here is the harder truth. Even if the door is closed when you knock, you will still be more at peace than you are right now, carrying 30 years of wandering. The third reason, and perhaps the most common for people your age, is the belief that it is too late, that time has run out, that too much has changed, that the person you'd be reconciling with is not the same person anymore, and neither are you. But listen carefully. It is never too late to be honest. It may be too late to get back the years, it may be too late to undo what was said, but it is never too late to simply say the true thing you have been holding. Even a single honest sentence spoken 60 years late changes something, not everything, but something, and something is not nothing. Let's go back to Walter. Standing there with that old photograph in his hands, he did not call Samuel that same day. Old fear does not disappear the moment we understand it. It takes one small act of courage to begin loosening its grip. But that night, For the first time in 36 years, Walter wrote his brother a letter, not an email, a letter by hand, the way people used to write when words meant more because they took more effort. He did not write to defend himself. He did not write to re-arc the old fight. He wrote one simple sentence at the center of the page. I have missed you longer than I have been angry with you. And I stopped saying so a long time ago. I am sorry for that. He mailed it without expecting an answer. That itself was the second act of courage, releasing the outcome, doing the right thing simply because it was right, not because it was guaranteed to work. 3 weeks later, his phone rang. It was Samuel. They did not talk about the old argument. They talked about the treehouse. They talked about their mother gone now for over a decade. They talked awkwardly and imperfectly, the way two men who have forgotten each other's voices relearn them, in fragments, in silences, in the occasional shared laugh that surprises them both. Walter did not get back 36 years. Nobody ever does. But he got back 4 more years with his brother before Samuel passed away from a heart condition neither of them saw coming. 4 years is not 36, but 4 years of a full heart is worth more than 36 more years of a locked door. I want to give you something practical now. Not just a story to feel moved by, but a tool you can actually use this week, this month, before more time slips by unnoticed. When you think of your own unfinished room, whoever or whatever it holds, ask yourself these 3 questions slowly, honestly, the way you would examine something precious rather than something painful. Question 1. What is the smallest true thing I could say without demanding anything back? Asterisk. Not the whole speech you've rehearsed in your head for 20 years. Not the justification. Just the smallest, most honest sentence. I have missed you. I was wrong about that, and it has stayed with me. I forgive you, even if you never asked me to. Small and true carries more weight than long and defensive. Question 2. Am I protecting hope, or am I protecting my pride? Be honest with yourself here, because this is where most people quietly deceive themselves for decades. If the honest answer is pride, that is not a failure. It is simply information, and information can be acted on. Question 3. If I knew for certain that I had only 1 more year, would this still feel too hard to say? This question is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to clarify you. Nobody knows how much time is left, not for them, not for the person on the other side of that unfinished door. This question simply cuts through the fog of someday and asks what is actually true right now. Today, sit with these 3 questions. Do not rush past them. Write them down if it helps. The people who finally walk back into their unfinished rooms are rarely the ones who feel the most ready. They are the ones who finally stopped waiting to feel ready. I want to speak honestly here because not every unfinished room can be reopened. Some of the people we owe an honest word to have already passed away. Some will not respond no matter how sincere the letter. Some relationships, for reasons of safety or health, should not be reopened at all. If this is your situation, please hear this clearly. Asterisk, peace does not require the other person's participation. Asterisk. You can write the letter and never send it. You can speak the words out loud in an empty room, to a photograph, to a grave, to the version of that person who lives only in your memory now. This is not pretending. Every tradition of grief and healing across every culture has always understood that closure is something we build within ourselves. It is not a gift that only the other person can give us. If Samuel had not answered Walter's letter, Walter would still have been a man who finally told the truth. That truth still would have loosened something in his chest that had been tight for 36 years. The relief of finally being honest does not depend on receiving forgiveness. It depends only on your own willingness to stop carrying a lie of silence. Here is the deepest shift I want to leave you with today. We are taught, especially later in life, to think of our remaining years as a countdown, as something that is running out, something to be careful with, something to fear losing. But there is another way to see it, one that changes everything. Your remaining years are not a countdown. They are your last, best chance to become the version of yourself your regrets have been quietly asking you to become. Every unfinished room in your life is not evidence of failure. It is an invitation still open, waiting patiently, asking nothing except that you finally walk through the door. You are not too old to say the honest thing. You are not too late to write the letter. You are not too far gone to become someone your younger self would recognize with relief instead of disappointment. The room is still there. The door was never locked. It was only waiting for you to stop believing it was. If, while listening to this, a face appeared behind your eyes, a name you have not said out loud in years, I want you to consider this a gentle nudge, not from me, but from your own life. That door is still there. You still have time to walk through it, in whatever way is still available to you. A call, a letter, a quiet word said out loud to someone who is no longer here to hear it, but who will somehow still receive it. You have carried enough weight for long enough. Let this be the year you set some of it down. If this found you at the right moment, share it with someone else who might need to hear it today. And if you'd like to walk this path together, further, stay close. There is more of this journey still to come. Until then, walk gently and go back for the ones you love, while the door is still open.